you ever felt that no matter how hard you try to elevate your life, something invisible and heavy seems to pull you down constantly? As if there were a glass ceiling over your spiritual and financial reality that you simply cannot break? You wake up with high purposes, decide that today will be different, but by nightfall, you feel drained, confused, and trapped in the same cycles of anxiety and fear. And what if I told you that this is not bad luck? It is not a coincidence, and much less your fault. What you are about to discover in the next few minutes is the most forbidden and suppressed knowledge in human history. There is a reason why certain texts were removed from the canonical Bible. There is a reason why ancient libraries were burned and masters were silenced. They did not want you to know about the secret technique that Jesus taught specifically to the Apostle John. It was not a teaching for the crowds. It was not a parable for the general public. It was a direct instruction, a spiritual weapon delivered in secret to combat the hidden rulers of this reality, entities that Gnostic texts call Archons. Stay with me now, because what we are going to reveal here will challenge everything you have learned about spirituality, religion, and the very structure of the world in which we live. If you leave now, you will continue to fight shadows without ever seeing who is casting the darkness. But if you stay, I will give you the key that the Apostle John kept in the secret book, the apocryphon of John. A frequency elevation technique designed to make you invisible to these predatory forces and reclaim the sovereignty of your soul. You need to understand that the war we are living is not political. It is not economic, and it is not social. These are just the physical manifestations of a much older and deeper war. It is a war for energy. And the battery that powers this system is you. Imagine for a moment the figure of the Apostle John. He was not just a follower. He was the beloved disciple, the one who had the intimacy to ask what others feared to know. After the departure of Jesus, John found himself in a hostile world, persecuted and surrounded by forces that wanted to extinguish the light that had been lit. It was in this moment of deep contemplation and danger that he received the final revelation. The Savior appeared to him, not just as the man who walked in Galilee, but as a form of pure, changing, and transcendent light. And the message he brought was not about morality or rules of conduct. It was about cosmology. It was about the invisible prison that surrounds the earth and the jailers who guard it. Jesus revealed to John that this material world was not created by the true Father God, the source of pure light and unconditional love, but rather by an inferior force, an imperfect craftsman whom the Gnostics identified as the demiurge and his servants, the Archons. The word Archon comes from the Greek and means ruler or prince, but they do not rule with justice. They rule through the manipulation of perception. The secret you need to grasp now is that these beings do not possess the divine spark that you possess. They have no source of creative energy of their own. They are imitators. And because they cannot generate their own light, they need to feed on the light of others. They need your energy. And how do they extract it? Through low frequency. Think of the moments when you felt intense fear, uncontrolled anger, envy, deep guilt, or shame. Do you notice how exhausting these emotions are? As if, after an episode of fury or deep sadness, you felt physically hollow? This happens because, in these vibrational states, you are serving an energetic feast for these entities. Jesus taught John that the Archons operate as parasites of consciousness. They whisper thoughts into your mind that are not yours, but that you accept as if they were. You know that critical voice that says you are not good enough? That intrusive thought that generates panic out of nowhere? That is the archontic transmission. Their goal is to keep your vibrational frequency low, dense, and heavy, because it is in this frequency range that they can interact with you and control you. The great secret that was hidden for almost 2,000 years is that you are a multi-dimensional being trapped in a frequency trap. But the trap has a flaw. The prison has an exit door, and that door is not a physical place where you go after you die. The door is a state of being that you can access now, at this very moment, while you breathe. Jesus explained to John that the only thing the Archons cannot touch, the only thing that burns and repels them, is the frequency of the true source. When you elevate your vibration beyond the spectrum of fear and survival, you become, literally, invisible to them. They cannot track a consciousness that vibrates at the frequency of unconditional love, genuine gratitude, and divine sovereignty. But how to do this in practice? How to maintain this frequency when the world around you seems designed to leave you stressed, sick, and worried? This is where the specific technique comes in. It is not just about thinking positively. Positive thinking is mental, and the mind is their battlefield. The technique that Jesus passed to John involves the alignment of the mind, heart, and spirit into a single pillar of light, something the ancients called the immovable. It is the ability to be in the world, but not of it. It is the ability to observe chaos without allowing chaos to enter you. You need to understand the gravity of the situation. Most of humanity lives in a hypnotic trance. People react to programmed stimuli. They fight for ideologies created to divide, consume poisons disguised as food and entertainment, and seek happiness in material things that never fill the void. All of this is archontic engineering. It is a system designed to keep you distracted, looking outside for what can only be found inside. As long as you are reacting, you are being harvested. Every time you get offended on social media, every time you feel terror from the news on television, every time you enter into unnecessary conflict with a family member, you are paying the energetic toll that keeps this matrix running. The text of the Apocryphon of John describes how the soul, upon descending into this physical body, was clothed in layers of forgetfulness. Each Archon gave the soul a negative characteristic to bind it to matter. One gave envy, another anger, another insatiable desire. These are not just emotions. They are etheric implants, shackles that keep us heavy. The secret technique is the process of recognizing these shackles and dissolving them through the conscious elevation of your energetic signature. Jesus told John that he who knows the truth becomes free, but this freedom is not political. It is the freedom of the soul from the parasites that torment it. You may be wondering why you never heard this in church or Sunday school. The answer is simple and disturbing. The institutions that were built upon the original teachings were, over the centuries, infiltrated and distorted by the same influence they were supposed to combat. They turned a manual of spiritual liberation into a system of control and obedience based on the fear of hell. But the true hell is living disconnected from your own divinity, serving as food for beings who see us as cattle. Hell is the unconscious repetition of the same mistakes, life after life. Now pay close attention. What I am going to teach you in the next part of this content is the practical application of this knowledge. It is not theory. It is the mechanics of ascension. Jesus instructed John on how to use breath and focused intention to create an impenetrable shield of light. He taught how to identify an archontic thought the moment it arises and how to neutralize it before it triggers an emotional response. This is what we call inner alchemy. It is transforming the lead of fear into the gold of the spirit. Do you feel this calling? Do you feel a resonance in your chest as you hear these words? This is your divine spark, the epinoia spirit described in Gnostic texts. Waking up from deep sleep, it recognizes the truth because truth is not something you learn. It is something you remember. You always knew there was something wrong with this world. You always felt that you did not completely belong to this place. This feeling of estrangement is your greatest asset. It means you are not from here. It means your origin is the fullness, the Pleroma, the realm of true light above the domain of the Archons. Prepare yourself. What comes next requires courage. It requires you to be willing to take total responsibility for your energy. There is no external savior who will come in a ship or on a cloud to rescue those who do not want to rescue themselves. The savior left the map and the key, but it is you who must turn it in the lock. The technique involves 3 crucial steps: recognition, detachment, and transmutation. If you master this, your life will change overnight. The people around you will notice there is something different about you. The problems that used to knock you down will begin to flow around you without touching you. You will become a pillar of stability in a collapsing world. The Archons fear this knowledge more than anything. They fear the moment you realize you are more powerful than they are. They are jailers of a prison that only has walls because you believe in them. The moment you elevate your frequency, the walls dissolve. Are you ready to learn how to break the cycle? Are you ready to receive the instruction that was whispered in secret 2,000 years ago, and that has the power to free your soul from the chains of imposed destiny? Take a deep breath now. Feel the presence of your own spirit. What we are going to do next is activate the organic technology that exists within your spiritual DNA. The battle has already begun, and you are about to receive the ultimate weapon. This weapon is not a sword, nor a physical shield, and certainly not a set of memorized words that you repeat without intention. What Jesus revealed to John in that moment of confidence, away from the crowds and the ears of the Pharisees, was the mechanics of reality itself. He explained that the universe we live in, this dense and often cruel matrix, operates as a system of mirrors. The Archons, these entities that feed on density, have no creative power of their own. They are imitators. They cannot generate light. They can only distort the light you emit. Therefore, the secret technique begins with a terrifying and liberating truth. They need your vibrational permission to enter your field. And you have been giving that permission unconsciously through every uncontrolled emotional reaction that the system extracts from you. The secret that John kept, and that was suppressed by centuries of edited dogmas, is the practice of radiant neutrality. Jesus showed him that the human being has 2 processing centers. One is the cerebral mind, the intellect, which is easily hackable. It is in the mind that the Archons whisper doubts, implant catastrophe scenarios, and incite judgment. Most of humanity lives trapped in this center, playing the chess game that was designed to be lost. But the second center, what Jesus called the bridal chamber or the inner temple, is the energetic heart, not the organ that pumps blood, but the electromagnetic vortex situated in the center of your chest. The technique to elevate your frequency and become invisible to these predatory entities requires you to move the seat of your consciousness from the head to the heart. It may seem simple, but it is the most difficult task you will face, because the entire modern world was designed to keep you in your head, worried about the past or anxious about the future. The secret works like this. When you feel fear, anger, or envy, you are emitting a low-frequency wave, a slow and dense wave. This is the transmission band where the Archons operate. It is as if you were transmitting your location via GPS to a hungry predator. You become visible. You become food. What Jesus taught was how to change the frequency of your transmission to a channel where they are blind and deaf. To activate this organic technology, you must first practice the silence of the senses. John describes this as closing the doors of the house so that thieves do not enter. This means, in practical terms, deliberately disconnecting from the noise of the media, the terror news, and the digital distractions that keep your nervous system in a constant state of alert. Once in silence, you must visualize and, more importantly, feel the descent of your attention. Imagine your consciousness as a liquid light draining from the brain, passing through the throat, and resting in the center of the chest. This is where alchemy happens. In this sacred space, you do not fight against the Archons. Fighting is a trap, for fighting generates resistance, and resistance generates the energy of conflict they desire. Instead of fighting, you replace. The technique requires you to intentionally generate a state of elevated emotion that does not depend on anything external. You do not wait for something good to happen to feel gratitude. You feel gratitude first, as a pure frequency, without an object. You evoke love, not for someone, but love as a state of being. You cultivate peace, not because the world is calm, but because you are the calm. When you sustain this frequency in the heart for more than a few minutes, something extraordinary happens at the molecular and quantum level of your DNA. Modern science is now beginning to understand what the Gnostics knew for millennia. The heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times more powerful than that of the brain. By tuning this field with frequencies of love, compassion, and gratitude, you create a high vibration dome of light around you. For an Archon, this light is unbearable. It is like fire. They cannot attach themselves to a field that vibrates at this speed. They are repelled not by your willpower, but by your vibrational incompatibility. Jesus explained to John that by elevating your frequency, you literally disappear from their reality. You are still physically in the world, walking among people, paying your bills, living your life, but energetically, you have been translated. You are no longer accessible to the hooks they throw. The provocations that once would have made you furious now seem distant, irrelevant, like the buzzing of a fly behind glass. You observe, but you do not react, and in this non-reaction lies your supreme power. The technique is the art of observing chaos without allowing chaos to enter you. It is becoming a conductor of light where negativity passes straight through without finding anything to hold on to. But there is an even deeper level to this secret. Jesus revealed that this frequency elevation does more than just protect. It begins to break the seals that were placed on your spiritual DNA. We are designed as multidimensional beings, capable of perceiving realities far beyond this 3D simulation. The Archons worked tirelessly to deactivate these DNA strands, keeping us limited to the 5 basic senses. When you practice the heart elevation technique consistently, you begin to send signals to your own genetic code. Light is information. High frequency carries awakening data. You begin to remember who you are. This remembrance is the greatest danger to the control system. A human being who knows they are a divine spark and who knows how to sustain their own frequency is uncontrollable. You stop being a battery for the matrix and become a reality generator. The secret that John received also included the understanding of sound, or the word. Not audible sound, but internal resonance. Every thought you have, every word you say, carries a vibratory signature. Jesus taught to guard the gate of the mouth and the mind with military rigor. Speaking words of defeat, scarcity, or hatred is casting spells against yourself, opening gaps in your armor of light for entities to enter. The technique requires a total re-education of your inner voice. You must learn to speak the language of life, the language of creation. When you say "I am," the universe stops and listens. What you put after those 2 words is a direct order for the manufacture of your reality. The Archons tried to invert this, making us use "I am" to affirm disease, poverty, and loneliness. Jesus taught John to use "I am" to anchor the light of the Pleroma, the divine fullness here on earth. I am the light. I am peace. I am the impenetrable barrier. Now, understand that applying this technique will provoke an initial reaction. The system does not like to lose a food source. When you start to elevate your frequency, the Archons will try to test you. They will send challenges, difficult people, irritating situations, all to see if they can get you to lower your guard and react with anger or fear again. It is the threshold test. They want to know if your light is real or just a passing phase. It is at this critical moment that most fail. They see the chaos increasing and think the technique is not working, when in fact, the chaos is proof that it is working. The system is shaking. The entities are in panic because you are waking up. You must hold the position. Like a lighthouse in the middle of a storm, you do not move when the waves hit. You just shine. And the more you persist in this elevated frequency, the more the Archons retreat, looking for easier prey. The environment around you will begin to change. People who vibrate low will move away from your life as they cannot stand your light. New opportunities tuned to your new energetic signature will begin to emerge. This is not magic, it is spiritual physics. Like attracts like. Jesus told John that the kingdom is not a place you go after you die. It is a frequency you bring here while you live. And the key to bringing this kingdom and expelling the tyrannical influence of the Archons is this daily practice, moment by moment, of centering in the heart and conscious radiation of love and neutrality. You are the guardian of your own temple. No one can clear your frequency for you. No external religion can save you if you continue to generate the food of your oppressors within your own mind. The ultimate weapon is your own presence, purified and amplified. It is the fire of the Spirit that burns the illusion. Now that you possess the instruction manual for this sacred technology, the responsibility is in your hands. Will you continue to feed the shadows with your fear, or will you light the furnace of your heart and become the sun you were born to be? The choice is made with every breath, every thought, every heartbeat. The Archons count on your forgetfulness. Your victory depends on your remembrance, and remembrance begins now, with the conscious decision to vibrate above the control grid. This conscious decision is the trigger that the rulers of this reality fear most. You need to understand that the technique Jesus passed to John was not an ordinary prayer or a request for supplication to an external deity. It was an act of internal sovereignty. The Master taught the beloved disciple how to build what the ancient Gnostics called the garment of light. Imagine for a moment that your physical body is just a biological suit, heavy and dense, designed to interact with this material matrix. As long as your consciousness is fully identified with this suit, you are subject to the laws of the Archons. You feel fear, you feel hunger, you feel anger, and you feel the passage of time. But there is a point within you, a secret chamber at the center of your being that does not belong to this world. Jesus instructed John to focus all his attention on this specific point, located not in the brain, which is a decoder of the matrix, but in the spiritual heart. Now pay close attention, for this is the step-by-step of the practice that was hidden for centuries. The first movement is radical silencing. The Archons operate through mental noise. They bombard your mind with thoughts that are not yours, worries about the future, and regrets about the past. To elevate your frequency, you must first cease the reaction. Jesus showed John that by not reacting emotionally to the provocations of the world, you cut the supply of energy that feeds the jailers. When you sit in silence and observe your thoughts without attaching to them, you become invisible to the control system. It is as if you disappear from their radar. The technique requires you to visualize a golden and incandescent light being born in the center of your chest. It is not an empty imagination. It is the activation of your divine spark. You must feel the heat, the real vibration of this energy. As you breathe, this light must expand. It cannot be contained. Jesus taught that fear contracts, but true love, which is the essence of the source, expands. You must visualize this light growing beyond your physical body, filling the environment where you are, and then continuing to expand until it involves the entire planet. But here is the crucial secret that makes all the difference. While you expand this light, you must maintain the firm intention of sovereignty. You must declare internally, with the authority of one who knows who they are, that you do not consent to any manipulation, contract, or agreement made before your birth or during your sleep. This declaration of non-consent, vibrated at the frequency of unconditional love, acts like a corrosive acid on the chains of the Archons. The energetic grids they placed around the earth cannot withstand the frequency of a soul that has remembered its origin. John applied this on the island of Patmos. The world saw an exiled prisoner, an old man suffering in a damp cave. But the reality was different. John was traveling through the aeons, accessing dimensions of pure light, because he had mastered the art of disconnecting his frequency from the holographic illusion of pain. He saw the Archons not as terrible monsters, but as powerless shadows that dissolved before the majesty of the inner Christ. And that is exactly what you must do now. The system will try to pull you back. The news will try to sell fear. Financial crises will try to sell scarcity, and social conflicts will try to sell separation. Every time you feel a pang of anxiety, it is an invitation to lower your vibration and enter their frequency. The secret technique is to refuse the invitation. It is to look at the chaos and, instead of absorbing it, radiate your own peace. Do you perceive the power inversion? Before, you were a battery, reacting to the stimuli they created. Now, you are a generator. You dictate the frequency. When you maintain this elevated vibration, something extraordinary happens in your biology and your reality. Coincidences increase, synchronicity becomes constant, and you begin to perceive the glitches in the matrix. You see people acting like automatons and you feel compassion, not judgment, because you know they are still under the spell of forgetfulness. Your light, however, begins to act as a silent alarm clock for others. Jesus told John that a single lamp lit illuminates the whole house. You are that lamp. Your simple presence in high frequency, without saying a word, begins to destabilize the archontic programming around you. But the final and most important application of this technique concerns the moment of transition, the moment we call death. The apocryphal texts reveal that the Archons await souls at the passage, disguised as guides or loved ones, to convince the spirit to return, to reincarnate, to pay karmic debts that, in fact, are illusory. The technique of elevating frequency is your passport to total freedom. If you practice in life the identification with the light and not with matter, at the moment you leave the body, you will not be attracted by the false light of the reincarnation tunnel. You will be yourself, the light. You will pass through the guardians of the thresholds like a ray of sun passes through glass. They will not be able to stop you, because there will be in you no hook of fear or guilt where they can hold on. You will become undetectable to the soul recycling grid. This is the true salvation Jesus spoke of. Not being saved by someone, but saving yourself through knowledge, Gnosis. You need to practice this daily. Do not wait for the final moment. Begin now. Close your eyes to the world of shadows and open the eyes of the Spirit. Feel the eternal pulse that runs in your spiritual veins. Say to yourself, I am free. I am sovereign. I am the light that casts no shadow. Feel how the density of your daily problems begins to lose weight. They seem distant, small, almost ridiculous before the immensity of your real being. This is frequency elevation. This is vibrating above the grid. The Archons feed on victims. Stop being a victim and you will stop being food. Become a conscious creator. The legacy of John was not just a book of catastrophic prophecies, but an exit map. Apocalypse means revelation, the lifting of the veil. The veil falls when you elevate your vibration. The reality you see with your physical eyes is only a tiny fraction of what exists. By applying this technique, you begin to see the energy behind matter. You begin to realize that you were never alone, that legions of light await only your signal, your elevation, to co-create with you. The battle is not won with swords, nor with intellectual arguments, nor with political revolutions. The battle is won in the silence of your room, in the stillness of your heart, when you choose love instead of fear, gratitude instead of complaint, and consciousness instead of automatism. You are the guardian of this secret now. The responsibility is in your hands. Do not allow modern distractions to steal your divine heritage. Every moment is a choice, to vibrate at the frequency of matter or at the frequency of spirit. The Archons count on your forgetfulness, on your spiritual laziness, on your distraction. Surprise them. Become so luminous that darkness has nowhere to hide in your presence. Remember that Jesus said we would do greater works than His. The greatest work is the liberation of one's own consciousness from the clutches of a millennial illusion. Take a deep breath now and feel this truth anchor in your cells. You are not a body that has a soul. You are a soul that for a brief moment occupies a body to hack the system from the inside. The key is turning in the lock. The door is opening. The secret has been delivered. The technique is yours. The frequency is available. All that remains is your irrevocable decision to never go back to sleep. Your ascension begins this very second. Arise, shine, and may your light break all chains, now and forever.